Let's talk about the June update. I can't believe that it's already June. Isn't it crazy that we're talking about June right now? Summer has come fast, starting to heat up, and it's beautiful out here. So let's talk about the housing market though. With what the feds have done, so there's all kinds of news right now that the rates are climbing, the houses are high, all this stuff is happening, which is all true. The rates have climbed up, the houses are in a higher place than they have been before. So the question that everybody's asking is, how high are the rates going to go? In May, I kind of saw the rates kind of stable out for a little bit. At least the last 2 weeks of May, they got a little bit more stable than they have been before. Now that we go into June, always at the beginning of the month, the word inflation comes up on the news. So now we're talking about inflation again. And every time that word is mentioned, the market starts to dip and starts to get a little bit unstable because inflation means higher interest rates. So when we're looking at inflation, it's hard to predict tomorrow because this isn't something that we've been through before. So what I always suggest with people within the housing market is if you have something that you're comfortable in right now and you own it, you don't have to worry about your landlord kicking you out, then you might be okay just to kind of take a look at things and see how the market's doing. If you're renting something right now, because there's so much fear out there, because nobody really knows what tomorrow holds with inflation, right? We don't know if we're going to look back 6 months from now and say, dang, I wish I still had rates in the fives because now they're higher, or we don't know if we're going to hit something and then they're going to go lower. We just don't know where the future holds. So when you're looking at a house, I wouldn't listen to the media and stuff like that out there. I would look at what you need inside. So if you're renting right now, if you're dealing with a horrible landlord and the landlord's scared of the market, you're not sure if they're going to sell, I would look at buying because then you don't have to worry about what the future holds, right? Or if you're in a place where your landlord keeps raising your rent and you just don't feel any security, especially with the prices of everything going up, then I would look towards buying. And here's what's happening with the housing market. So when the feds make moves like they are right now, where they are raising the rates. So remember, in COVID, they stimulated the economy by lowering the rates. That caused the housing market to go crazy, right? And so now they're unstimulating it by raising the rates. So they're trying to find a place where it's an even ground, where the prices aren't going up, but the prices aren't going down. Because it's kind of controlled, I don't believe we're going to be seeing like a crash or anything like that, because they could easily make a move to the other side to cause that to stop. So I think they're trying to find an even ground where house prices don't move up anymore, especially at the high rate that they were before. So what's good for you is if you're looking to buy a house, in the previous last year and a half, it was very difficult, especially if you didn't have a house to sell, to turn that equity into the new house, because you were having to pay over appraised value. You were having to overbid. There was no repairs done to the house. I mean, it was ridiculous what was happening to housing at that point. It was nothing that I've ever seen in the last 20 years and nothing that most people have ever seen in their lifetime. What happened with the housing market. Right now, we're returning back to normal. It hasn't quite hit there yet, but when I'm seeing the amount of houses, so inventory has been a huge problem in the last, year and a half, right? Maybe, year and a half. It's been a huge problem. So now that they're raising the rates and they're doing these things to bring it back to normal so we could stop dealing with inflation within the housing market, now we're seeing inventory hit the market again. We've in Las Vegas this week, we hit probably double than what we were last month. So, but keep in mind, to have a healthy market, we still need to be double what we are right now. So we're still in a seller's market, but we're heading in the right direction. So if it's something that you're renting and you're just tired of your landlord and you just want to be able to get out and get into a place of your own where you can get into a 30-year fix, not have to worry about where your payment's going to go, and find that foundation, it's a great time for you to buy because you're not having to pay. In some houses, they're still doing a bidding war. There's multiple people fighting for them. But for the majority, what I'm seeing when I'm talking to agents right now is people can get into houses again without having to pay over appraised value. So before COVID happened, when you were looking to buy a property, a lot of times you could even ask the seller to pay your closing costs. It was even to that point where there was room to pay closing costs. We haven't gone there yet. We've gotten to the point where you might not have to compete against other people, so you might not have to pay over appraised value, but until there's a little bit more inventory on the market, probably double what we're looking at right now, then you can start asking the seller for things. So if you put yourself on hold for a while, it's probably time right now. I mean, I think the summertime brings, where people are changing, people are doing things, and it's probably time to start looking again, because you can get into something where you're not having to take out so much money to pay over appraised value. And rates, let's talk about rates for a second, because, all I keep hearing is the rates are so high, the rates are so high. The rates are normalized right now. So remember during COVID, the last 2 years, the rates were stimulated to be low. That was to cause the market to stimulate through the housing market, right? So we were trying to get the economy to start running again when we had to shut down through the housing market. That's what the Federal Reserve did. So now that they've taken that away, now we're back to a normal place, right? And as they look to raise rates on the Fed fund rate, then that will kind of bring us back to where we are going to be, where the housing doesn't go crazy up, which is good for you to buy a house. So in June, I don't expect to see a lot different than what we have this whole year. Nobody's really expecting to see rates move down anytime soon, because inflation is a bigger problem than housing rates. In order to stop inflation, the Federal Reserve has to keep their rates at a higher level, which in our old world was normal before COVID happened, right? In order to stop things from moving up so fast. And a lot of the inflation that we're dealing with has been in the housing market, with the choices that were made by the Fed to lower rates as low as they did to stimulate the economy, which, it needed to be done. Who's to say whether it was right or whether it was wrong, or whether it lasted too long? Like, they should have started this a little bit earlier, but, hindsight's always 20/20 for all of us, right? So if you're looking to get out of your rental house, it's a good time right now. It's a good time. Give me a call. I'm going to leave my information on the screen. Call me, email me, reach out to me any way that's convenient for you. If you liked this video and it was informative for you, please, I would love you if you liked and subscribed to it. And I hope you have a great day.